guys, I'm Blue from YGO Anime Games, and I'm showing you Crump's updated deck profile. The first time we built Crump with the rest of the big five was, like Gansley, it was a couple years ago. So we want to make sure that we're doing updated versions now because the decks have changed a little bit, especially now with the virtual world done. We wanted to tweak the decks just enough to make them feel a little bit smoother, a little bit more accurate when we pair them against the new decks. So, it'll be a quick video. So Crump's entire deck in his theme was penguins. Like Gansley, who had a strategy of replenishing monsters that were his resources for Reflector Hole. Crump's Deckmaster effect, Nightmare Penguin, is really just what it does anyway, its own effect, which is just it boosts water-type monsters. So his deck is very penguin themed with that. First up being 3 Bolt Penguins. The original deck did not have this because Bolt Penguin was not printed yet. It was really nice for us to finally get one of these. To get another card from Crump. I mean, I've always loved the Penguins. I thought they were really cool. So, we were really happy to see this card printed. There's a couple cards he played that they don't print. But, one new card is great. Next up, and this is a card we now have it in 3 copies, is Flying Penguin, which was originally the old McDonald's promo. So it's kind of a fun place to get Yu-Gi-Oh cards was McDonald's. But Flying Penguin, 100 more attack than Bolt Penguin, but still, the Penguins aren't particularly strong, or at least, several of them. They're just weaker, and some of them are normals. So they don't do a whole lot. It's some of the ones we've added in later on that carry some more of the weight. But Giant Red Sea Snake. So, it is one of his own cards. It's not something we threw in. So this is his strongest monster without any kind of additional boosts. It gains the benefits of his Nightmare Penguin, and more or less is his main hitter. Unlike a lot of the decks, Crump's deck does not have really any kind of boss monster per se. He doesn't have any kind of like tribute ritual, like a lot of the characters have had. Fusion. So next up is Deckmaster Nightmare Penguin, who has the added effect of when he's flipped face up to return a card on the field, but also that it boosts the attack of water monsters, which is what his Deckmaster effect did, like I said. So one of the more underwhelming Deckmaster effects. But with 1800 defense, it does play, a key role in his deck. And again, like you've been doing with the Big Five, is they have their Deckmaster effect built into the deck in some way via spells and traps. Except Crump, because again, he's the only one where his monster actually was printed with that effect. The rest of them are all normal monsters that have some kind of effect. Well, except for Jinzo. But so 3 out of the 5 are normals that have just, the strangest effects. Another throw was 2 Penguin Knight. Really doesn't do anything unless, he gets sent from your deck to your graveyard via an opponent's card, of which there really are hardly any within the character decks. But if you can somehow manage to get that, you can combine your deck in your graveyard. So it's a great reset card, but the way to use it is very conditional. It pretty much just ends up being fodder. Again, also at 2 copies, Penguin Soldier is another favorite of mine, and you see this every time we play with Crump stack. Flip, return 2 monsters is absolutely one of the best cards in Crump's deck. Because, again, without having strong attack monsters, the Penguins make up for it because they return monsters from the field, or cards from the field, to the hand. So they can clear out the field, and then you can attack through with Penguins. And that's how Crump's deck kind of just works, is clearing out the opponent's field. The last monster is another add-in, Puny Penguin. We used to have Great Emperor Penguin, but that was dropped when we tried to make the deck a little bit more accurate, when we had more cards we could throw in. Puny Penguin remains because it has the effect which allows you to reset a penguin from the grave. So Nightmare Penguin or Penguin Soldier, usually because of their flip effects. But because it has that more passive effect than Emperor Penguin, which is also tied with Giant Red Sea Snake for attack points, but then also can be attributed to summon 2 penguins. So it's helpful in a more defensive way. And spells, again, a lot of our own stuff thrown in here, like a Legendary Ocean, which we didn't actually see. We have it in Ganji's deck, we have it in Crump's deck. It was not played by anyone in the Big Five until the Big Five United deck. But we tied it back into Crump and Ganji because of how it helps their archetypes. And, because we felt that it would not just help them, but because it helped their overall system, it helped the deck's flow. So, Legendary Ocean. Next up is 3, Cold Wave. We've kind of gone between 2 and 3 of this card because of the way it works. I mean, it's a card he absolutely played, but it's also a very powerful card. So we go back and forth between limiting it to 2 or not. It stands at 3. It does help give Crump a boost because if you can return your opponent's monsters and they can't activate spell cards or trap cards, it really does help Crump's weaker monsters get, enough attacks in. And, I mean, like, really, we played with this deck a lot, and we've seen very consistently it does very well because it just scoops up monsters at a very quick pace. And then by limiting spells and traps in this deck, despite having very few strong monsters, can cover a lot of ground very quickly. More generic cards, Monster Reborn, Pile of Greed. Pretty much if they weren't played by somebody, they were, everyone else had them, so they're in just about all of the newer decks. Newer meaning, okay, anything after Duelist Kingdom. Heroes from Battle City Beyond, they're great filler cards, so whether or not a character played them, they do help every deck, and they never really feel out of place to us because they were cards just about everybody had. Power of Kashin, replacing an equip spell that Crump had for the penguin monsters. So it gives them a little bit of a boost. But the point is, it's a replacement card. Because when we build a deck of a character who does not have enough cards, I mean, first off, we do try to max out the quantity of cards we can use. Except when cards are, just not good in quantity of 3. Like this deck, quantity of 3 on just about everything. The exception was back and forth on the Cold Wave. Other decks which you can, in future deck profiles or recent deck profiles, maybe limited to. But anyway, then we'll throw in cards that we try to kind of replace another card effect with. They're never exact, but they're close. So he had an equip spell. We substitute that with another equip spell, which we only have in 2 copies. And then the last card, which is something like his next card, is not necessarily a replacement card, but more of it fits his theme type of card. So this takes the place of the equip spell we're missing by doing something similar. Although the difference is, of course, you could equip it to Giant Red Sea Snake. But at the same time, you could not equip it to Bolt Penguin, because Bolt Penguin is a Thunder. But anyway, his last spell card again, something that helps his deck recycle resources. Yeah, I know, it's Gansley's thing, okay, whatever. Is Salvage. So, it'll help Crump keep his penguins he needs. Again, because that is the deck's, core engine, is returning monsters, attacking through, returning monsters, attacking through. So the Salvage helps out. Again, it's a card that fits his theme. It's a card that supports him, so, we felt it helps. Now, traps. Very few traps. Starting off with driving snow. So basically, that when one of your trap cards is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can destroy a magic or trap card on the field. So it's really, it doesn't really prevent you from, losing anything. It only happens when you've lost something. You can destroy an opponent's spell trap. The opposite version, the next card, Gust. So when one of your magic cards is destroyed, or spell cards, is destroyed by an opponent's card effect. Again, there is... Taya's deck, when his opponent Taya, definitely does have some of that, but, overall, a lot of, lower level, lower tier characters don't have a lot of MSTs or, any kind of spell trap removal. It's usually consistently in Yugi Kaiba decks and then other prominent characters. Again, not everyone, but so they're like essentially, the same effect, but one allows you to strike back from loss of a spell, one from traps, but overall they are actually a form of spell and trap card removal. Just has to be triggered. And then Michizuri. So another one of his cards where he can kind of get a 1-for-1 on the opponent, but again, he has to have lost something first. Although, with the Penguins being so weak, you're going to lose them anyway, but by the time you've attacked the Penguin Soldier, even though you've lost it, you still get its effect, but now you can throw in a Michizuri to help combo, because this deck will lose monsters, but it's designed to compensate by taking that loss, and with the flip effects, getting the upper hand again. And last is Torrential Tribute, because it's a water-themed card, and again, it really helps him that if he's being outnumbered by his opponent, he can wipe the field. And that's it for Crump's deck. So next up will be Johnson's deck profile. And we're going to keep going through with the Big Five and a couple of the Virtual World decks that were the older ones, which have been tweaked and modified. But again, we've had a lot of fun with this this deck wave release. There's been a lot of content. They won't all be like this. This one just happened to tie into a much older release. So we're refreshing the old one while introducing the new one. But by the time this is all over, all the Virtual World duels we've done now will have links to updated deck profiles. We'll have links to other characters' duels. But anyway, so thanks guys for watching Crump's awesome Penguins deck profile. Stay tuned for the next one and that big tournament right around the corner. So, it's been Blue. See you guys.